Hi, everyone. Welcome tonight. Kim Wilson here with Ryan Zipprich, and we are with the Morgan County Republican Club News and Interviews. Tonight we are in meet and greet here in Jacksonville at Water's Edge Winery, and we have Republican Gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for speaking. It's been a great night. Thank you. I do have to give a quick disclaimer before we get started. A reminder that the Morgan County Republican Club does not endorse any candidate during primaries, but encourages everyone to stay informed about on all the candidates and the issues important to them. So, with that said, first question. Thank you for coming. What are some of the major reasons you've decided to run, and or what issue or issues would you tackle on day one?
Absolutely. No, it is an honor to be back in Morgan County here in Jacksonville. We've been here a few times already, and just one thing that Cindy and I find as we travel the states, a lot of amazing people and a lot of amazing communities out there. So no, it is an honor. I'm tired of the state being stolen, my future of my children and grandchildren being taken away. I'm a farmer. I've worked hard all of my life for every penny, and having to see the tax dollars squandered by the state of Illinois. I'm tired of it. And in the during the 2017 year, when they over the July 4th weekend, when the 2018 budget was voted on, and our taxes went up by 32%, and there were absolutely no reforms, nothing except just more tax money tossed and squandered. I became agitated, and that's basically what propelled us into this. After spending one term as a state representative and now 1 year as a state senator, I've seen a lot of junk, and I've seen a lot of waste, and unfortunately the Republicans sat in the super minority, and we have to own something. We got in the super minority by a reason. We got in the super minority by not standing up and leading, by not telling the truth, by not pushing back, and I believe that is the answer, standing up, giving Illinoisans the options, the truth, the possibilities of what could be. So have several day one agendas. One of the Proverbs 28:2 tells us when there's moral rot in a nation, its government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. The simple fact that here in Illinois, that every taxpayer pays for every abortion that takes place. I mean, that's fundamentally wrong. And if we're not going to, that's moral rot right there. So that has to end. The 45,000 plus abortions taking place in the state of Illinois, many of those from outside of the state borders. So that coupled with then beginning to defend instead of defund law enforcement, getting our more police officers back on the streets and rescinding some of these egregious laws that have taken place. We've got to pay attention to the judges that we're electing, and putting back in the office, because if the crime, the punishment doesn't fit the crime in most cases, it's because of the judge that does that. So basically just bringing moral, fiscal responsibility, getting unfunded mandates off the shelves of our schools and in our communities, and then just begin to put the squeeze, shrinking government, that's how we find relief in the state of Illinois. And it takes some boldness and courage to do that, because it's going to affect people's lives, it's going to create change, but we are at the point in Illinois, our back is against the wall, and we must do something.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for that. Second question is kind of pertains to something you just touched on. Throughout the campaign, you've discussed property taxes and Back the Blue support. So can you go a little bit more in depth on this issue?
Yeah, I've stood, and I'm fortunate, the entire Republican caucus has stood up for the police and law enforcement since day one. As a matter of fact, in the Senate right now, there is a bill to promote, to properly fund law enforcement, to give what is needed to put law and order back on the streets. So that is, that must take place. And property taxes, if we began to push back on the unfunded mandates, here in Morgan County, I was talking with your sheriff today, and I asked him what was one of his biggest needs coming up, and he said money for the body cameras that they're told by the state government they must have. The government tells agencies and schools what they must do, but then they say, oh, by the way, we're not paying for it, and you must. So that's going to create a burden, and that is going to that has to be paid for by local residents, property taxes. And the reality with property taxes that people need to understand is we can gripe, state the state legislator does have some responsibility in that, but most of that responsibility lies at local government, school boards, park boards, library boards, municipalities, and counties. We're going to have to start spending within our means, because property taxes are, local obligations. Wherever the money comes from, is it fair that it's property taxes? Maybe not, but if it's got to be paid, it's got to come from somewhere. We need to get our spending under control.
Definitely for the state of Illinois, that's something definitely we need to get done. The next question is, state of Illinois, we have Jesse White is going to be retiring. Term limits is a big subject. Would you like to touch on that? Do you have any opinions with term limits?
Well, absolutely. I've pushed for term limits since the beginning as a state representative. I personally term limited myself to 10 years. I served 2 and then moved to the Senate, thinking that I was going to be there for 10 years. I term limited myself to that. Recently, I don't know how long it's going to last, but at least in House and the Senate leadership, we were able to instill term limits of 10 years to leadership positions, ensuring that someone like Mike Madigan never again is in power for 50 years. Yeah. So I think it's important for many elected officials will argue, well, elections are term limits. Not when you have the money that you have, not when once the constituents and the voters of Illinois begin to get themselves educated, which is happening with our campaign. They're going to understand, they're going to know more. But I've been complacent in life. I've been enjoying this freedom and working like we do, and then we just kind of lose track of what our politicians are doing. So term limits is only a moral obligation that anyone should abide by.
And it keeps them closer to the constituents and having to listen to what they have to say. That's one of the biggest things.
Right.
In closing, there are numerous months left in the campaign and in the primary. What's the message you'd like to give your supporters and overall to Republican voters who are worried about election integrity in the state of Illinois? And also a big rally message to all your voters to get out and vote for your campaign.
Awesome. Election integrity. President Trump told us a full year ahead of the 2020 election that there was going to be election fraud and problems. I guess we just all kind of sat back and assumed there's always been election fraud and problems because nobody did anything. And here we are a year and a half later, well, a year now later, talking about, and people are focusing on 2020 elections. Quit focusing on 2020 elections and start focusing on the solutions for 2024. Everyone listening should be signing up as a poll watcher or an election judge. That is how we monitor the process. The buck stops at the county clerk's office. If you think your county has had election fraud, go visit the county clerk's office, FOIA information, find out what's going on, but sign up as an election judge and be there until the very end. There should be no excuses that, well, I went home and then there was fraud. No, the election judge has all the responsibility and reason to stay there until the circuit clerk and everybody else goes home. It's that simple. It takes time, it takes energy, and again, we're busy and we're focused on other things. But if we want to keep our freedoms of this wonderful constitutional republic, we're going to have to get involved. And then finally, to your message, when I stand up and I talk to people, and I'm frustrated because sometimes I talk too long, that I want to make sure that people understand that I have stuck my neck out on the line when no other elected official would stand up and come up with a solution. I sued Governor Pritzker. There were many things that could have happened to turn that around on me. When no other elected official in Illinois would stand up against these mask mandates, I stood up against them. I'm not afraid. I have nothing to lose. Yet, as a farmer, as a father, as an Illinoisan, we have everything to lose if we don't get our act together. So the simple fact that I have put my neck out on the line, I cannot be bought, I cannot be swayed, I cannot be moved, yet I can work with the other side. We have to sit down, but we have to get in that position of leadership, and we have to be bold and courageous with it and not back down. There's been too much compromise, and that compromise has got us where we are at. It's got the Republican Party in the super minority, and it's got Illinois in the most devastated state in the nation, and that can change. Hope is on the way. Our grassroots movement is unparalleled. The donations coming in, I'm more than double raised, against my opponents. There is one other person in the race, but that money, always follow the money. Look the money up. Go to illinoissunshine.org. Look these donors up, see who they are, and you'll see real fast what's going on within the Illinois Republican Party.
Awesome. State Senator Darren Bailey, really appreciate you coming into Morgan County again and talking with the MCRC News and Interviews. Really appreciate that. And everybody can check out State Senator Darren Bailey at bailey4.com.
Illinois. Thank you.
And this is MCRC News signing out. Thank you, everybody.